Hi, and welcome back to our World of Wonders. I'm Michelle, and Charlotte's not with me today, of course, as usual. We're presenting our slideshow of our evidence from St. George's Church in Gores Landing. You can see the sign on the tree there, a little blurry. We had some camera issues, which we will be talking about as we go on. Here's another sign that says right on it to enter at own risk. We talked in the video about how dangerous walking in there at night can be, and we didn't realize how bad until it was dark and we were in there. Here's a picture I took of Charlotte. This was with the flash off because we were having some incredibly unusual issues. When my flash was on, the picture was completely dark. I've used this particular camera over and over and over again. I've never had this kind of issue. We've had weird little glitches every now and then, but this was kind of odd. The next picture with the flash off turned out fairly blurry. I thought I was standing quite still, and Charlotte was having some blurry issues as well. It's not like it's the first time we've ever taken photographs, so we weren't sure what was going on. This is another picture of the end of the church that you saw in clearer in the video as we drove up. So I thought I'd put my flash on to see if I could get some orbs, and magically it goes completely dark again. We're not quite sure how this anomaly was happening, but it seemed to repeat itself throughout quite a few pictures, but that's beside the point. We'll carry on because we have a lot of pictures to go through. Okay, this is my first picture taken coming to the end of the side of the church and seeing the back of the cemetery. Another blurry picture, not quite sure why. If you look in the back, it looks almost like the tombstones are a little wiggly, like there's movement. But if you look at the brown drain pipe, even though it's blurry, there's no movement to it. It's not like you're getting the shadow of the pipe over top of the pipe. But the tombstones at the back almost seem to be doing that. Beyond the gravestone, there's those lower, I'm not sure if that's a stone or it's a stump, but just another weird anomaly. The next picture this is a really unusual photograph. In the in the video, I'd said that there was a man in a dark tan jacket that I saw. If you go from where the tree is, you can see the reddish or pinkish stone, and then beside it there's a black one at the very back by the trees. That's where he was standing with his arms kind of crossed looking at me, and that's when we started taking some pictures. Like I took a bunch and Charlotte took a bunch. The anomaly in this, if we move to the next picture, dark again. I tried it with the flash on and with the flash off. So this is the flash on. Everything went totally dark, but you can see I'm still standing in the same spot. The next picture, I decided to blow up on my screen because cropping and rendering the pictures, you lose too much, clarity. At the back, the little white stone that's low, whoops, I whistled. You can see these wiggly white lines. They cut the one that's near the black looks like a 3, and down along the side of the stone, whether it's light reflection or not is beside the point. And above the pink stone, which is beside where I saw that man, there's these weird light wiggles is what I'm going to be calling them. But you'll notice when we go back to the picture again, the whole picture isn't moving or wiggled, or it's just when I blow up and go back that for some reason there's this weird anomaly. Now the next picture is between the pink stone and the black stone. That is where I saw the man standing with his arms folded. There's definitely nothing there, but there may be some weird energy going on. I'm not sure. The next picture is a little further back. You can still see the wiggly lights on the little stone and the red flower, but there's really no anomaly. And then we go back to the actual original photograph. There's no weird lights reflecting anywhere. There's no movement on the stones in the foreground, so you can't say that I took a picture, I moved the camera a little bit, because if that had happened, in fact, every stone would have movement and wiggle to it, and it doesn't. It's not clear, but it's also not indicative of I clicked and moved the camera and caused those light anomalies. So that's something unusual. And here's the back of the church. Charlotte had gotten some photographs on the far side of the little church. So just past where those flowers were, there was a rain barrel or something, and Charlotte thought she had gotten something over there, so I took some photographs. Just to note, that orange light on the right-hand side is a street lamp that's just behind the trees and coming through. Every now and then the trees move and it wiggles around and it looks like it could be something, but it's definitely just a street light. The next photograph was just a pretty picture. This is sort of the area where the little bat was flying later on. The moon is just between the limbs and the little bush down to the side. Just a pretty picture that was a distraction. This picture on the bottom left-hand side is a very faint orb. I did try to blow it up, but I was losing it, so I don't know if you'll be able to see it in this photograph or not, but it is there. This photograph, you can see there's enough light to be taking photographs. By the pink stone on the right-hand side, I got a little surprised when I looked at it on the computer. There we go. You can see the cornerstone in the bottom and the really pretty little rainbow, very bright orb above it. On the left-hand side, sort of near the top, off-center, like just off a little bit, you can see a very faint orb. And where my little hand symbol, the bright white blob, my little drag symbol, above that is a mosquito reflecting light. There's a close-up of it. So when you're getting insects and they're reflecting light at you, small pinprick of very bright light. And that's what that looks like. And here's a picture of the cemetery to the left of the church as opposed to behind. Just some nice pictures that nothing really happened. These two stones were drawing my attention, so I took a couple of photographs of them. This is an interesting little capture to the left of the large stone. There we go. Just above the hand drag blob. It doesn't actually photograph very well off my camera. You can see a very light orb. This is the front of the little stones. So this is the other side, so that's why the little one is first. And you can see a grasshopper on the left-hand corner. When they are photographed, they reflect the light in a completely different way. So it does not appear as an orb. Sometimes they look a little fairy-like or dragon-like, depending on how they're flying. But we didn't capture one in flight this night, so I can't show you how that looks, but there's the front of the two older stones. And this is one of those, we don't know if they're cornerstones or markers or quite what they are, but there's several of them around, and if you're out there in the pitch black and trip over one of those, like, you're really going to hurt yourself, so you really need to be careful and possibly do it in the daylight. Just beyond those two older stones is this tree stump. And I kept being drawn to this corner, and of course I was taking pictures of the woods behind and all around, where I really needed to be paying my attention was to this picture near the bottom left part of the stump. You can see this beautiful little rainbow orb. I didn't blow it up because it was kind of hard with the wood behind it, but I hope it renders and you can see it, because that was really cool. This is just a really interesting little tree and stone in the background, and here's another interesting stone that I liked, and the orange light there is that street lamp we were talking about earlier. And Charlotte and I did do a little filming by that little tree that looks like a V that you'll see in another video. This is my favorite picture of the night, despite all the orbs and the cool things. This is that little bat, and I blew it up. Thank God he was there eating up all the mosquitoes. And here he is. How I did that was I just blew it up on the screen and took the photograph of it, so that's why the colors are a little bit weird. But he was just a lovely little bat, and he was there for quite a while, eating up all the mosquitoes, which made us really happy. This picture has an orb near the left-hand side, just not center, but just over to the left, and you can see in the window there all the little lights of reflection in the glass window. And here I blew it up, and just above my hand blob at the bottom there, you can see the orb and the lights reflecting in the pieces of stained glass. Now, when I took the photograph of this off the computer, everything went red, and it does that in quite a few of them for whatever reason. Now, if you were inclined to be a negative person, you might think, oh, this is a sign of the devil, everything looks like blood, where it's just the way the light and the camera reflections work. Nothing scary about it, it's just kind of creepy when it happens. Okay, and I took a picture towards the back of the church again, and if you look at the group of limbs hanging down on the left-hand side, there's like a little hole between near the bottom, and there's this beautiful orb. So we've blown it up, and of course it goes red again in spooky fashion. And it does look like there's something in there that does look like a face or something sort of peering through. It's kind of hard to tell, but definitely an orb as opposed to a bug or a light reflection. This is the perfect photograph of what mosquitoes look like in a group in the flash. And we were getting quite a few of those. This is probably my best one of mosquitoes. This is got several different things in it, so it looks pretty cool, especially that bright one down at the bottom. But when you blow it up, you find out that on the right-hand side, I do have an orb on the church. The middle one, very bright, is actually a sign with reflective paint, so that's why it's so bright. And on the left-hand side, what looks like two eyes peering out of a face, and with this red effect, kind of looks a little demony, is actually a cottage window coming through some, like there's a little bush and leaves over there. So not an anomaly, but when you're out at night, it did look kind of creepy. So you do have an orb in there. Now just above the hand blob, we've got another orb up high. We've got the orb down directly at the bottom, almost center. So there are actual orbs in this particular photograph, but there's also other things within it. This picture of Charlotte I included because by her hoodie, in the left-hand corner, there is a very small pinprick of light, and that's a little mosquito honing in on her. So there's another example of what the mosquitoes look like. Okay, we're joined by a little guest here who's purring. I don't know if you can still hear her. So if you hear a weird noise, Sky has entered the room. This next picture is the windowsill where we put the static detector and the EMF machine, and then you can see where the light is leaning up against the edge of the wall there. Just added that because it's part of what we did. And the next picture is of the EVP machine, our recorder, which I did get some anomalies, not voices, which would have been nice, but we'll talk about that later. And Charlotte's picture, oh, that's Sky saying hi. Oh, wait, no, that's Charlotte's picture, very, very dark. If you look down near the bottom, about a third of the way up, or on the left-hand side, she's got some orbs in here, very hard to see. We've tried to get some close-ups of them on the screen, and of course it goes all red again, but you can very clearly see the one orb quite clearly. And there's a couple of smaller orbs up near the top there that you can see. The really bright one may be a mosquito, but very difficult to actually, for whatever reason, to get some pictures of Charlotte's. There's above my little really bright white drag hand mark, you can see the outline of the orb. It was a fair size, but because it has gone all weird when I was trying to get pictures. Difficult to see, but you can see where it is. Definitely there is something there, and it's not an insect. There's the one on the other side. Or is that the same one, just brighter? Yeah, I think I tried to take two of that, but I wish we could have gotten a better crop of it, but didn't work as well. And then the next ones, okay, I couldn't get the photographs to download properly. So I've tried to get some close-ups of it. So here's another one of the orbs above the hand. I mean, it almost looks like a face, but it's hard to tell. Here's the next photograph where you can sort of see off the screen some orbs sort of off-center to the right, down near the bottom. I've done a couple of crops of it to try and get a closer picture of it. I mean, the picture itself turned out really great. There's the one quite clearly you can see, but still not as clearly as I would like. So that's what we found this time round. I'll have to listen to the EVP and see if it's worth doing an episode about it or not. I did get some weird things happen, but like I say, we didn't get any voices. Very interesting little church, very interesting place. I would love to go back again. So until next time, what makes you say, wow?